Okay, so what is going on, Book Talk? I wanted to make this video about the perks of self-publishing, and I don't have anything planned. Don't have anything written down. This is just kind of coming to me, off the top. So, obviously, there's a ton of perks. I made a couple of videos like this in the past, but I wanted to make one a little bit more longer and a little bit more in depth. I would say number one, the biggest perk is the creative control, but more importantly, because I know that answer is a little bit cliche, more importantly, the control to do things in maybe like a non-traditional sense, put it that way. So I can give an example. If you were making a cover and someone looks at your book cover and they say, oh, well, I feel like that has nothing to do with the story. Oftentimes it's going to be friends and family who say that because believe it or not, they actually are looking out for you and they don't want you to put out a book that has a cover that doesn't tell the story. But if you explain to them like, hey, totally understand, like, thank you for that feedback. This is just the cover that I feel like portrays my creativity within this story. I know it might not make a lot of sense now, but as time goes on, I want you to understand why I chose this cover. And a lot of times people will understand that. People who are your friends and family who care about you will understand maybe why you chose to make a certain cover. Whereas, if you're not self-published, you're just going to have to go with whatever cover someone recommends. So number two, I would also say pricing and budgeting. You don't have to put a ton of money into your book. I feel like it's the old cliche of like whatever you put into something is what you're going to get back. That's super true. Like if you go to the gym 50 times a month or whatever, if you go to the gym twice a day, every day for a month, you're probably going to be really fit. And if you eat really well, you're probably going to be really fit. If you do the opposite, you probably won't, but you might, find happiness not having to go to the gym every day. So there's pros and cons to both, right? So if you put $1,000 into your book, the book might turn out okay. If you put $3,000 into your book, the book might turn out really well. If you put $5,000 into your book, it might be like the best looking book ever. And then even on the reverse side, if you put $200 into your book, you might just get lucky and everything might just work out in a very, unorthodox way where it's like, wow, I barely put any money into this book, but it actually ended up coming out pretty well. So there's really no way of telling in the moment. It could kind of just all come together, or you could put a lot of money into it and you might even be like, oh, wow, it came out really well, but I felt like maybe it wasn't even worth all the money I put into it. So those are a couple of things. And then on top of that, I would also say pricing of what you're going to sell your book for. So if you have a book and you're like, hey, I feel like I could sell this for, $17, cool. Like that's amazing. But if you feel like you can only sell it for $12, hey, that's also good. Maybe you want to meet in the middle and sell it for $14 or $15. So there's a lot of different things that end up happening in terms of pricing. The last thing I would probably say is the final perk of self-publishing would be the fact that you control, what you want to do with it after the fact. So if you want to make a lot of TikToks or book talk videos, or if you want to make YouTube videos, you can do that and you're going to be more motivated because it's yours. So you're going to always have it with you and it's going to be sort of your personal brand. And when you're in a backyard party and someone's like, oh, hey, like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I do this and that, but hey, I also wrote a book. You should check it out. You can actually buy it right now. That opens up a lot of revenue stream as well, because you can get someone to buy it on the spot. Or even if you want to say like, hey, maybe you don't read, but I know that you would love to support me because I'm an independent author. A lot of times people have that emotional connection where they're like, oh, I want to support this person and I want to buy their book. As opposed to if you don't self-publish, people might be like, oh, wow, well, you've already probably had a lot of good fortune with this book. Like, I don't feel the need to support it. So those are just a few. I'm going to start making a lot more videos on this topic and go a little bit more in depth, but those are just kind of a few off the top. And, like always, some of the links are in my bio to my work. You can support me as well, and I look forward to talking soon.